Memorial services for the late civil rights leader Reverend Jesse Jackson will begin later this morning at the Rainbow Push headquarters in Chicago. Just the first in a series of cross-country services honoring the life and legacy of the iconic figure. The body of Reverend Jackson will travel to Washington and to his native South Carolina for memorials before returning back to Chicago next week for final burial. Joining us now, Reverend Jackson's son, Democratic Congressman Jonathan Jackson of Illinois. Congressman, good morning. It's so great to have you with us. We're so sorry for the loss of your father. I think all of us know and have thought a lot about since his passing, his legacy in this country as a civil rights leader, but also as a trailblazing presidential candidate a couple of times. But I'm curious from you about the man, the father that you knew that most of us didn't get to see.
I would tell you, and thank you so much for your prayers. My father's had a long-time relationship with the media, and so he understood the business and the work that you do, had enormous amount of respect for you. And I would tell you that, Dad, he was courage, as one person described, wrapped in compassion. He was a very compassionate person, and what people don't see is behind the scenes, even after there were debates, that he was very gracious, shaking hands, loving his adversaries. He was a minister at heart, first and foremost. He didn't always argue the legal technicalities. He argued from the moral perspective. He tried to course correct the nation from a moral perspective. And so he was true to that. And as a father, I lost a father, a friend. I lost a political leader and a minister that I truly admire and respect. And so he preached of a personal salvation and of a social salvation. And so those two, I think, is very unique to his ministry. So I've got enormous respect. I've got a hole in my heart, but I thank God for 60 great years. I thank my mother for 64 years of their great marriage. And through it all, it's been an American story. And so the overwhelming amount of outpouring of love and respect that people have shown him, I'm grateful, and our family is thankful.
Representative, I was disappointed that the Speaker of the House declined to any effort to recognize your father at the Capitol. Clearly, he was a national leader. Clearly, I'll never forget the night I was in Chicago during the primaries in 2008, and I was in that room full of people as Super Tuesday results came in, and I happened to be standing near your father as those results were coming in. And I looked over and I could see the tears coming down on his face. And it was such a poignant moment that he was witnessing something that I know meant a lot to him, the election of Barack Obama. But also, I think everyone needs to understand that he was the trailblazer in presidential politics for Black leadership in this country. Speak to what you think happened, and I hope your family is taking it as they should, as an unfortunate political decision rather than a lack of respect for who your father was.
Yeah, I would focus on Governor McMaster of South Carolina. He's honoring my father with the opportunity to lie in state. My father's a son of South Carolina, grew up in the Jim Crow, South Carolina, where he couldn't walk on the lawns where it said no Negroes, no Blacks, and no Jews and no dogs could walk in that lawn. And then he was able to run for president and be on the same stage with the former governor. And now to see Governor McMaster bring the New South forward. So what was the loss in Washington, D.C. was certainly a homecoming and a gracious overture for a gain in South Carolina. The governor of Tennessee is lowering the flag as my father's remains pass through the state of Tennessee when we drive from Chicago through the states en route to South Carolina. Really in tribute to the monks. My father always was up for a good protest, a good march, and we respect those freedom fighters, those marchers that went from Texas all the way up to New York. So giving peace a chance. There's a very toxic climate in Washington, D.C., and the same Washington, D.C. that would lower the flag for Charlie Kirk that says the 1964 Civil Rights Act was a mistake. How can you say getting rid of biases in race and sex and religion was a mistake? How can you say it was a mistake to fully enfranchise people to be Americans. That was a pivotal piece of legislation. But that's the same speaker, and that's what we're dealing with. They have a high tolerance for things that are very indecent and a very low regard for people that have been great Americans. And so I've had a conversation with the speaker. I've shared my personal remarks. I've been in a very unenviable position. I'm not advocating for my father. I'm advocating for a man that meant so much to the country. Also, I would like to say a special thank you to my friend, Congressman Joe Wilson. He took the personal initiative, Congressman Joe Wilson of South Carolina. He lowered the flag outside of his congressional office. He shared that with me yesterday. Governor Whitmer of Michigan has lowered the flag in the state of Michigan. So people have done great things that appreciate the work, understand it, and are very decent and very compassionate people. So I'm seeing more of that, and that we're grateful.